Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday evening to you all. Hope you guys are having a great day out there and a great weekend as we're rolling on through it. In tonight's video, and I know I'm coming at you guys a little bit earlier than I normally do, but got some things going on tonight, just watching some football, hanging out with the family. So I wanted to go on and drop this video a little bit earlier. But in tonight's video, we're going to discuss what's coming this coming work week. We're talking about a powerful cold front that could affect most of the country, and along it, you're going to have a chance for a impactful storm system. Now, as far as impact, it just varies on where exactly you're located. Could be some beneficial rain, could be some strong winds, could be some severe weather, could even be some snow. But we do know what's coming behind it, and that's below average temperatures for most of the eastern U.S. So we're really going to discuss what we do know and try to break this down. Hit me up on Twitter if you haven't. Give the channel a subscribe. Like the video if you like it. It really goes a long way, and I really appreciate y'all's ongoing support and just viewing even when it's not busy. The people and the folks who view my content when there's not a big topic to latch onto, you guys are really the, I would say, just the soul of this channel, and really just the foundation, the people who just watch and make this a daily routine. So I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate any new viewers also. I really do. But if you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, obviously put that in the comments. Gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives a lot of other people an opportunity to do so too. So let's get rolling. Really quick update on Tropical Storm Julie, and yes, it is still a tropical storm. You know, I pulled the trigger on thinking it was going to become a hurricane sometime between when I made the video this morning and now, and it did not. So my bad, guys. Hopefully y'all didn't get triggered by any false alarms or anything, but it certainly looks like a Category 1 hurricane out there. But the thing is there's not a lot under the hood. Even though this looks like a healthy, it looks like a Category 1 hurricane, and it probably will become a Category 1 hurricane on the next update or two. It is still a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm. So hope you guys are ready in Nicaragua and Honduras, El Salvador. It's going to bring a lot of heavy rain and some impactful winds. So just, hunker down tonight, and I hope you guys are ready. Certainly praying for the best for you folks down there. So let's talk about this at first, and stick with me. We're going to break down everything that we know about this system coming, because this is probably going to be a pretty diverse system coming next week. It's not being talked about much because confidence is still kind of low, but that's what we're here for, to just talk about what we do know. One thing we do know, there's going to be a tall ridge in the west, so unfortunately you guys are still going to be above average temperature-wise, and I know you're, for you cool weather fans out west, you're certainly jealous of the east, and vice versa when it's the other way around, but certainly been below average, if not below average, just average, for the eastern U.S. for a long time now, and it's going to continue, guys, for the next to the 6 to 10 day range. That takes us from the 14th to the 18th of October. That clears us through mid-October. Below average temperatures predicted, and potentially for a higher chance for below average temperatures here in the Ohio Valley and areas of, Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia. So confidence is the highest in these dark blue areas, where you basically have a 70 to 80% chance to have below average temperatures in this area. But confidence is nothing but high that the entire eastern U.S. is going to be below average, or at minimum average. Now, a lot of people are wondering, I've had a lot of comments, even on Twitter, YouTube, where is the rain? Well, as far as precipitation in that 6 to 10 day outlook, which somewhat includes that front that we're about to discuss, below average precipitation predicted for most of the country. So that's not what we want to hear. So we'll see what we can do with this, but I'm telling you, there's a system coming that could bring a lot of people some moisture, so we'll talk about that. But this is the 8 to 14 day range, guys. This takes us from the 16th to the 22nd of October. I mean, we're getting to the later half of October now, and below average temperatures still continue to show up. And listen, nothing but troughing, continuous cold fronts continue to show up for the next 2 weeks, for the next 15 days, really. So there's nothing but signals that show continuous cold fronts dipping into the central to eastern U.S., bringing below average temperatures. As far as precipitation in that same range, listen, I mean, when you have this dry, stable air, chances are you're going to have low precipitation. And dry air, when you haven't had a lot of rain in a while, can spark, fire issues, and certainly just dry conditions. So it's looking like it's still going to stay really dry. But there's something potentially coming this coming week. So let's start this off and look at the GFS. Here we go. We'll start this off right now. We're getting into tomorrow. Not a whole lot going on. Maybe some showers try to pop up here in the areas of Carolinas as you have a little bit of a moisture feed that actually enhances some humidity a little bit sometime tomorrow afternoon and evening into Monday morning across the Carolinas. But that moves on through, and here comes this front. And here it is. It's moving quick. This is a digging cold front, and it starts as early as, Tuesday into Wednesday. And here it goes. And you see all this green moisture. Just think of this as moisture. Along this cold front, there's a cold front digging right into here. And as this comes, look at all the green showing up. I know a lot of people in Alabama, the Panhandle of Florida, have certainly been asking for the rain, and I think that you will have a chance. Now, is it going to be widespread, couple inches of rain? I don't think so. But you're pulling for the GFS because I'm about to show you the European, and the European does not show as much rain. But along this system, you can have a severe weather threat, potentially. It's not being mentioned much because the confidence is low, and it doesn't look that bad. But as this trough could potentially go from a neutral tilt, which is like this, to a negative tilt, which is like this. And I'll talk about that more here in a second. And this could potentially bring some destructive winds for areas of the Northeast, maybe sometime Thursday into Friday. But we need to iron out the details as far as timing, how strong, if it happens, where is it going to be the highest at. But I'm expecting potentially a windstorm Thursday into Friday for areas of New England, as this trough becomes negatively tilted and basically all the dynamics max out when this happens. So it's just something to watch out for as we get into the later half of this coming work week. So I'll talk more about that here in a second. The Euro. What does the Euro show? I know I'm on a different site here, but the Euro on the GFS does not show snowfall. So if I was actually to keep this run going past this system, another almost enhancement of a trough comes down and brings even more substantial cold air. Now, this is getting 9 to 10 days out, and this brings even more cold air and just brings a coastal low for areas of New England and actually brings interior Northeast snowfall. Brings snow all the way down to the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina, and this looks like it goes negatively tilted also. It's very interesting, but this is very far out. But I can tell you, models continue to increase on the idea of two troughs, two cold fronts that make their way through. The European shows this also. So obviously the stage gets set with that first cold front, and then the second one comes through, and you already got some cold air around. The pattern, which I'm about to show you, looks favorable for East Coast storms and then for cold air. So it's going to be something interesting to watch. But here you go. You look at the European. We're getting into this coming Wednesday. Here comes the cold front. It's digging. You see the blue line. That's that 540 line, freezing temperatures aloft, meaning in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And look at this system up here in Canada. And it's bringing a little bit of snow down here in Minnesota. Look at all this snow up here in Canada. But here's the moisture from this cold front. You're seeing some moisture right here in Alabama, Georgia, the Panhandle, as we're getting into this coming Wednesday into Thursday. And then it brings a lot of moisture with a piece of energy that flies along the base of this trough. And like I said, system looks to go negatively tilted even on the European potentially, and this could create some strong winds in the Northeast. Not even just the Northeast, maybe areas further south too. And you keep this going, this moves through, and here comes that second system. The GFS shows it too. This brings more cold air. This drags in more cold air, and you have a possibility of some snow. But look, it's 216 hours out. So it's just like just a bowling ball of an upper level low. We need to iron out the details definitely on that second system. But listen, an active, very active pattern, aggressive pattern showing up. It really does look like that. As far as rainfall, let's talk about that for a second. This is the national blend of all models. You can see the cold front coming. We're around Thursday morning at this point, and then we clear the entire cold front. We go on and take it about 6 days out, and you got some beneficial rain showing up in Alabama, but there's a little area that gets robbed right here in South Georgia, areas of the Big Bend areas, and then the eastern areas, the Panhandle of Florida. We certainly need some rain. We need rain everywhere, really, guys, in the Southeast, because honestly, if you didn't get rain from Ian, that means you probably have not seen rain since, I would say, early to mid-September, if you didn't get rain from Ian. But it looks like a lot of moisture. And some of this could be in the form of snow, but, a lot of moisture showing up for the Northeast between now and the next 6 days. And then you're going to get moisture back here, too, in the Ohio Valley with the front. So one thing I want to show you guys, I haven't looked on Pivotal Weather in a while, is this is the 500 millibar winds. So this is in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, the upper levels, really. This is several thousand feet up in the atmosphere. So what you're looking at here is this trough. And this is moving through, and then this is the actual GFS. You see how it bows out like this? We call this a neutral tilted trough. If it was bowing out kind of like this, that's a positively tilted trough. When it bows out like this, that's a negatively tilted trough. You don't like to see that with any weather. A lot of times that brings your tornado threats, that brings your strongest winds all the way to the surface, not just in the higher levels of the atmosphere. And it can bring some incredibly dynamic weather. Incredibly dynamic. So you watch this. This is getting into Thursday morning. Here it comes. It's ripping some low-level moisture all the way up into the mid-Atlantic. And then what you watch here is this becomes negatively tilted. You see how it's bowing out like this? That's a little bit of a negative tilt. So to me, that would tell me that you would have some pretty strong winds, even mixing all the way to the surface where you're actually standing into New England as this becomes negatively tilted and becomes a very strong storm system. It's something you got to watch. Now, you move over and you look at the moisture. These are dew points. I love the dew point maps on Pivotal Weather. I just don't access them because the site's a little bit more glitchy to use. But here you go. What I'm showing you here is we're getting into about midway this week. At this point, we're around Wednesday evening. Look at this low-level moisture getting pulled up from this trough. I mean, you got dew points rising into the 60s and 70s in Louisiana, the Gulf Coast. But you look for where what we call thermodynamics match up with kinematics. Kinematics is that wind energy that you look for when it comes to a severe weather threat. Then thermodynamics is that low-level moisture, the actual temperatures. So you look where they overlap the best, and wherever that happens, that's probably going to be your best chance to see severe weather, if any. Now you see this dry, Arctic, almost Arctic air coming in behind this, but then it's matching up against this low-level moisture. So I would argue that sometime late overnight, Wednesday, maybe into Thursday, potentially somewhere in this area, where basically, you back this up. Let's see if it'll move right here. Right here, you back this up. You look at all that wind energy right here. And then you mash it up with this low-level moisture, dew points in the 50s and 60s. I would watch out to see if there's some kind of marginal, maybe slight risk of severe storms somewhere here in the Mississippi Valley, areas of the Mid-Atlantic, maybe southern Ohio Valley. I'm sorry, not Mid-Atlantic, Mid-South. Watch out for a little bit of severe weather in this area, okay? Just hear me out with that. So that's just something we need to watch. But then quickly behind it, bone dry air comes, and look at this whooshing of the atmosphere. Goes from moist air for most of the week, and then by the time we get into Friday, this coast-clearing cold front brings us right back to a cool, dry air mass. So what you see here is the low-level jet. So these are winds at about 850 millibars up in the air, which, if you don't know what that is, which most people won't, and I get it. I didn't know what it was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. Think of that. This is the winds about a mile up in the atmosphere, give or take. So if you stop it right here, this is around, and this is the same thing, right? Here comes this digging trough. This is just winds at a different level of the atmosphere. It's a lower level than what I just showed you previously. So these are winds probably a mile above our heads. This is when you look up in the sky, guys, and on those spring-like days where it looks like the clouds are just racing. They're almost so close where they look like you can touch them. This is going to be the kind of morning it is probably Thursday or either Friday morning in the Northeast. So, look at this low-level jet over the Northeast, over the southern New England areas. To me, we got a 50, 60 knot low-level jet screaming overhead. You're probably going to have some winds mixing in the surface, and I wouldn't be surprised if you just have a very windy night, Thursday night into Friday morning. But, the time frame is still kind of weird. It's still up in the air, but, 30, 40 mile per hour winds, I certainly could see it here. So just, something to watch out for in this area for sure. But I can tell you, the pattern is here for cold and stormy weather in the east. And here you go. I'll look at this. This is the European Ensembles. The EPS Ensembles, one of the most reliable models out there in the world. And here it goes. This has connections to the polar. This is almost what you call a cross-polar flow. Literally cold air oozing in from the Arctic up here. And this cold front comes through, and then it kind of disconnects here, but still a punch of cold air. This is this blue. This is what we call troughing. That's basically a cold front. This moves through, and it basically buckles the jet stream. So the jet streams, digging down here. So storm systems will ride along that jet stream. And if there's enough cold air around, which are getting into mid-October for certain areas, there's enough cold air around, you could potentially get some snow for certain areas in a powerful storm system. But that shows up, and then another almost reinforcing shot of cold air shows up sometime around day 8 to 10 range. So it's just, the cold air just keeps coming, guys. So it's just something to watch. So what does that look like temperature-wise? Well, I think, for most of the week, next week, it might get above average. You might, temperature-wise, you might creep back into the 80s for the south. I certainly do think you will. But then look what comes behind it. You get into around Thursday, you're getting into Friday. Here comes the below average temperatures. So a very cool weekend. I think cooler than this weekend, certainly, especially for you folks in the south, where it looks like this cold front that ended up coming this weekend didn't end up being as strong as it was originally forecast to be. This is well below average temperatures. Moving in, this blues, that's 5 to 10 degrees below average. If you've seen a cat going behind my video at any time, I just realized my cat has been in the room the whole entire time, is right here at my feet. But anyways, her name is Stormy, by the way, so it makes sense that I like weather. But anyways, below average temperatures dominate, past day 7, day 8, day 9, day 10, and then another reinforcing shot of cold air. So, it's hard to say this cold front is a pattern changer because we've been in this pattern of just reinforcing cold fronts. But this might be a big cold front coming up, guys. It really will. And then maybe another one that's even bigger behind it. So stay tuned. We'll figure this out. We're going to try to break this down. But I can tell you, after Julia, there's not going to be anything in the tropics to really break down. So this will be your next heavy topic. So God bless all y'all. Have a great night. Enjoy your evening, and I'll be with you guys in the morning.